Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing about the stages of economic integration. As international trade and investment levels continues to rise, the level of economic integration between various groups of nations is also deepening. The most obvious example of this is the European Union, which has evolved from a collection of autarchical nations to become a fully integrated economic unit. Although it's rare that relationships between countries follow so precise a pattern, formal economic integration takes place in stages, beginning with lowering and removal of barriers to trade and culminating in the creation of economic union. So we have a few stages of these economic integration, which has also have been accepted by this WTO in the article and the agreement of 24, and where all countries are creating the trade blocks through this economic integration. So what are the stages? The first stage we have here, the free trade agreement. The first level of formal economic integration establishes the free trade agreement, which says that the countries are eliminating the tariff barriers for the partner countries. And they can also go for preferential trade agreements, means the countries or the partner countries are allowing the access of only certain products where they are reducing these tariff barriers. So FTAs eliminate import tariff as well as the import quotas between signatory countries. So here we can see it's not only about the tariff, it's also about the some non-tariff barriers. So nowadays the definition of the FTAs are changing. The FTAs are saying that some portion of a tariff which they can impose on certain products or certain products they can reduce complete tariff, and also there is the presence of zero non-tariff in the world economy. So it means the elimination of completely non-tariff barrier or imposing the tariff in some portion. That is a new definition of the free trade agreement. So on the basis of that, some of the trade blocs are following in a world economy. So like SARC is also the one of the example of it where they are following these FTAs. As I was mentioning that they are also following this preferential trade agreements and also this free trade agreements uh, in the inclusion of the negative list. The negative list says that they are allowing certain products only to access for the free trade. It means tariff they are reducing on a certain products, whereas some products they are keeping in the negative list where the partner countries cannot access on the basis of tariff elimination. It means they are restricting some products where they want to protect their own domestic market. Like India, you can consider the apparel goods in the negative list where they have a competition with the Bangladesh. FTAs can also include a formal mechanism to resolve trade disputes, like NAFTA is following that. NAFTA is the North American Free Trade Agreement, so that is also following this FTAs to resolve the trade disputes. Then aside that, the FTAs can place few limitations on the member states, and those limitations are related to the free movement of the labor and capital. So that is, these things are essentially to be followed in case of FTA. So FTA is not completely, allowing to access everything. So here we have some, the certain policies where you want to protect for your own country, and you have a restriction on the free movement of the capital and labor also. The FTA signatory countries also retain independent trade policies with all countries outside the agreement. And all FTA members are required to establish the rules of origin for all third party goods entering the free trade area. The goods produced within the free trade area may cross borders tariff free, but rules of origin requirements must be made to prove that the good was in fact produced in the exporting country. In the absence of the rules of origin, third party countries seeking trade access to the FTA area will choose the path of least resistance and the country where they face the lowest opposing tariff in order to gain effective entry to the entire FTA region. So, the rules of origin is must for the entire FTA or the free trade area to establish and to impose the other goods who are entering in their own market. Then the custom union is our next stage. A custom union, whenever is built, they are including this free trade area in their whole custom union. Plus, they are removing internal barriers to trade. It means all tariff and non-tariff barriers, they are all restrictions removing for their partner countries, and they are harmonizing the all policies together. So they'll be having the common external tariff for the member countries, also the common trade remedies they'll be following, like anti-dumping and the countervailing measures, and also they'll like be a unit, one unit, and representing themselves in the entire world, like whenever they are going to the WTO, IMF. So they are representing themselves as one, like if they want to negotiate regarding any multilateral trade initiative for the goods and services, so they would be treating like as a single block. The countries with an established custom union no longer requiring rules of origin. Now see, the if they are eliminating this rules of origin, because whenever the goods are entering into their market, it means common tariff would be taken on that. So they don't require this rules of origin. And this is actually giving a chief benefit to their market, because the documentation which are needed to collect these rules of origin, which now no longer be needed. And that is why they are able to, save their cost, and also their efficiencies are also increasing. And one more thing which is important in case of custom union, they are also surrendering their some independent policies. So it means they are following a common policies too in that case. But the member countries may also have some independent policies, but they are following some limitations in that too. So whatever they are following, this is being treated to the rest of the world as a common thing over here. Now we'll discuss about the third stage, which is common market. The common market is a major step towards a significant economic integration, because this is including the provisions of custom union along with the features of common markets, like they are removing all barriers related to mobility of people. Now there are the freedom of capital and labor mobility within the member countries, and also they are eliminating non-tariff barriers. So this is bringing the free movement of labor, for example, necessities, agreement on workers, qualification, and the certification. And also, they are constructing a similar monetary and a fiscal policy for the member nation, which is enhancing the interdependence within the region and the effect that one member country's policy can have on other member countries. So that is why the common monetary and a fiscal policy is actually bringing the less fluctuations to the entire union. So this necessarily places more severe limitations on member countries' ability to pursue independent economic policy. So there are now limitations for the independent economic policy. So here they are more giving emphasis on the common economic policies such as fiscal and monetary here. So definitely they'll be gaining economic efficiency in this regard. So with unfettered mobility, labor and capital can more easily respond to economic signals within the common market, resulting in a more efficient allocation of resources. Then we'll discuss about the stage of economic union. The economic union is the inclusion of the features of common market, and the economic union features like they are coordinating monetary and fiscal policies as well as labor market, regional development, transportation, and industrial policies. Since all countries would essentially share the same economic space, it would be counterproductive to operate divergent policies in those areas. If they are following the common currencies and unified monetary policies, then they are able to eliminate exchange rate uncertainty. So we have a very good example of this European Union and their EMU, the Economic Monetary Union, which says they have adopted euro as their common currencies, which is eliminating the exchange rate fluctuations. It means they can protect their own domestic market within the trade bloc, and and the disturbances which is coming through the different currencies zone in the member countries itself. So by following common currencies along with the common policies, like you have the common monetary policy, you have the common fiscal policy. So along with that, if you have a common currency, then you can bring more stability towards the country itself. And here there is some flexibility that the countries can administer these currencies at their national level and can control it. So that is there, but of course, the common currency and the common policies will bring more stability to this trade bloc area. And also the common agriculture policy is the example of this common policy for these nations. Altogether, they have made the common agriculture policies and imposed it to the rest of the world. And they were treating the common tariff policies for the other countries who are not the part of this group. Then we can summarize the all stages over here. So we started with the free trade agreement area. So where we can consider the zero tariff, but nowadays the definition we have some portion of a tariff which they are taking, but non-tariff barriers they are completely reducing. So according to this definition, the zero tariff between the member countries and reduced non-tariff barriers over here. The custom union includes FTA features. Of course, there is no tariff and non-tariff barriers would be reduced. Plus, they are following the features of common external tariff. It means the all countries, the member countries, they're following similar policies for the rest of the world. Then common market feature includes the features of this custom union. Plus, they are allowing within the internal zone the free movement of capital and labor and policy harmonization. Then economic union, which is including the feature of common market, plus they are allowing the common economic policies and common currency, and also for the internal institutions or the member countries institutions. Thank you.